For under about $22,000 out the door for a pure gasoline family sedan, today let's take a look at the Maybach S480 to see whether it's worth your consideration and what advantages and disadvantages this car has. Its wheelbase is a full 7 inches longer than the regular Mercedes-Benz S-Class, reaching 156 inches, and the overall body length comes to 215.4 inches. In terms of power, the S480 uses an inline-six 3.0-liter twin-turbocharged engine with a maximum output of 380 horsepower, and it accelerates from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 5.6 seconds. In today's era, where more and more electronic products and electrification are taking over, this kind of large displacement, pure gasoline, precision mechanical machine naturally becomes a luxury that only a few people can own. Maybe there's no need to deliberately influence people's perception, because in many people's minds, larger displacement means luxury, and more cylinders mean premium. At the same time, this is also a small drawback of the S480 version. If you say it has many cylinders, it doesn't seem like that many. If you say it has large displacement, it doesn't seem that big either. In other words, in terms of performance, it doesn't create a very obvious gap compared to the regular S-Class or something like the BMW 740, especially since above it there are the V8-powered S580 and the V12-powered S680. In terms of exterior, the S480's hood also features a signature chrome strip, along with the same 3-pointed star emblem. The front grille is still full and imposing, with a strong sense of authority, but there are two small differences compared to the S680. First, the lower grille is not fully chrome finished, and second, the headlights do not have blue accents, which means they are not the more advanced digital headlights, but rather multi-beam LED headlights. On the side, the S580 and S680 come standard with 20-inch wheels, while this S480 uses 19-inch wheels, making the tires look relatively thick, and the tire width is surprisingly the same as a 1.5T C-Class, only 9.8 inches, which feels a bit undersized on such a large car. As for the trunk, it might be the part you care about the least as an owner, but the capacity is still quite large at about 500 liters, and more importantly, the opening is very wide, making it convenient to load and unload things like full cases of drinks. Even in areas you don't usually notice, the build quality is still very refined. For example, the pull handle for the trunk cover feels solid and premium, and there's also some space underneath for small items. Next, let's get inside and take a look at the interior. For detailed configuration and specifications of the Maybach S480, you can refer to the vehicle database. Up front, the steering wheel uses a dual-tone design combining leather and real wood, and newer models after March now come standard with highway navigation-assisted driving. I'll leave the protective film on the instrument cluster for now. You can peel it off yourself when you pick up the car. The S480 doesn't have the large augmented reality head-up display, but it does come with a standard screen-based display system. In addition to the usual sport and comfort driving modes, it also has a Maybach mode. When you switch to this mode, it sacrifices some driver control to provide ultimate comfort for rear passengers, meaning the suspension becomes softer and the transmission shifts more gently and smoothly. At that point, rear passengers will feel the car become softer and more fluid, almost like riding on a boat, which is essentially the ultimate comfort mode. Finally, let's move to the rear seats. The S580 and S680 are 4-seaters, while this S480 comes standard as a 5-seater. The rear seats not only come standard with heating and ventilation, but also support extensive power adjustment, and both sides include leg rests. The right rear seat can also recline with one button. When activated, the front passenger seat moves forward to create more space for the right rear passenger. This car already has excellent sound insulation, and the moment the windows go up, there's a very noticeable sense of isolation. You can also raise the electric sunshades with one touch to make the rear cabin more private. Overall, the rear seat comfort of the S480 is excellent, especially with its very generous space. If we talk about a couple of small drawbacks, the rear doors are extremely large but do not come standard with soft close or powered doors, so closing them without assistance isn't very elegant. Also, despite the long wheelbase, it doesn't come standard with rear wheel steering or all-wheel drive, so making U-turns requires more effort. As for whether this car is worth considering, it really depends on your budget. That said, in the price range between about $14,000 and $28,000 out the door, if you want a car with strong comfort or some level of business presence, there don't seem to be many alternatives. And if you plan to drive yourself or want comfort or some business use, this Maybach S480 might be one of the few options available.